everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Melissa. It's been a while since we posted a video, so we wanted to catch you guys up on some of the things that we've been doing since the spring and summer, now that we're heading into the fall months. Unfortunately, our 97 F250 broke down, and you could see I was using the Branson to push it into the shop right there. More to come on that later with the repairs necessary to get our truck back up and running. And here we're using the Branson 3520 to still continue to clear out portions of our land. We've been harvesting trees for some projects that we have later this winter. We'll tell you more about that another time. And working on plot 3 as we continue to expand our farm and creating more space where we can grow our fruits and vegetables. Unfortunately, this summer we were just devastated with an incredible amount of rain, like a lot of other farmers in our area. We had to recondition our soil. We stood all of our corn up by hand, but at the end, it did great. It was beautiful. It produced these huge ears of corn. It tasted so good, and we were able to sell out completely at our local farmers market. We sell all of our fruits and vegetables at the Canton Farmers Market, and we just want to say a huge thank you. We are so appreciative to all of our customers that come out to the market every week, and we've been able just to sell out every single week. The community has been so supportive of everything that we do to bring local produce to our community. Can't say enough good things about this farmers market. We just really appreciate all the support. An update on our chickens. These were our baby chicks that we got in the spring. We got them at 1 day old, and we've raised them ever since. And we love to feed them fruits and vegetables straight out of the garden. They're about 6 months old now, and they're doing great. They're super healthy, and we love taking care of these chickens, and they are producing the most beautiful colored eggs. So we're so happy about that too. So today we're going to focus on the NEO-TEC NH 841. NEO-TEC is a newer chainsaw company, and they reached out to us to do a consumer review on a few of their products. Right here, this is the NH 841. It's a 41cc chainsaw, 1.82 horsepower. This is a lightweight chainsaw. This is something that I could easily handle. Rick could very easily handle. So we're super excited to review this today.
Well, let's get started. What you see right here is a NEO-TEC box, and inside it, it has the NEO-TEC 40cc, 41cc, I believe it's NH 841 saw. It's comparable to the Husqvarna 130 series and the Partner 130, 140 series, I believe. It's a price point saw. It's more or less a consumer saw, what you would use from time to time around the house. It's definitely not something you would use all the time for cutting firewood or anything like that. Anything where you have extended use every single day. This is not that saw. NEO-TEC has been around for a couple of years, I believe. They're fairly new in the market, and I believe their biggest competitor is probably FarmerTech. Could be the reason why they share a similar name, I don't know. NEO-TEC reached out to us a few weeks ago and asked us if we would do a consumer review of this saw, because more or less we kind of do that anyway. We show the equipment that we use, and they've seen some of our videos where we have used other equipment, and they asked us if we would do a review on there. So that's what we're doing. We're not being paid for this. Yes, they did send this saw to us. We will eventually be giving this saw and another saw that we have, we will be giving them away for some of our subscribers. So let's get started on it. Let's open it up, and I'll show you what comes in the box. This is exactly what it comes with. Some hearing protection, some silicone or rubber coated cotton gloves, which actually is useful, not so much for cutting wood maybe. A little tool bag, we'll get into that in a second. Fuel bottle. This saw actually came with a bar. I think it's a 16-inch bar. Has a scabbard. Little manual, NH 841. And the saw. Looks like we have a chain also. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, so let's pull the saw out. saw doesn't look like it's damaged, which can be a problem. Whenever these saws are shipped, sometimes they'll get damaged. As you can tell by the box, it wasn't in bad condition. Kind of looks like a Husqvarna, between a Husqvarna and an Echo. Definitely a partner. Looks like it's built okay. The plastic, not sure what type of plastic this is. It's definitely an ABS plastic. The reason why they put these close together is to make it simpler for somebody that doesn't use a saw. The problem with this is that if you mess up and put oil in your fuel tank, and I think the way they've gotten around that is they've made the fuel tank lid larger than the oil tank lid. They're not bad. They've got seals in them, retention plastic on it. Same thing with the oil fill. Going to access your air filter and your spark plug. It'll be right here. This is just hand tight. It's got a little grommet on it. It's not captive, so you'll have to be careful with that. Pull your top cover off. Your air filter. That's pretty easy to clean, but if it's that loose also, you might want to put some grease. Put some grease along the inside edge, and put some grease around here, and that'll keep dust from getting on the inside and going into your carburetor. It fits pretty firmly. Controls wise, everything looks pretty solid. As far as the build, your choke lever, that's full choke, and that of course turns your high idle off once it does start. I'm not sure the carburetor that's on it. Spark plug boot, it's actually pretty nice. It's a really good thick rubber compared to others that I've seen. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. The spark plug, it's a Champion, looks like a Champion knockoff maybe. Not really sure what kind. SAP. I'm sure it's a good plug. Most plug, it's pretty hard to have a bad spark plug these days. The controls feel pretty good. You got your primer bulb, or this is a air purge bulb. It's one of the two. I'm not sure on this one. I haven't studied a lot about it. It's one of the two. Some saws have a primer bulb where you can prime the carburetor. Some have a purge bulb where it will purge the carburetor of old fuel, essentially just priming it also. Compression on it, let's see here. It's not bad. Of course, it doesn't have any fuel in it either. Doesn't feel bad overall. Let's see if we can adjust the oiler on this. Okay. I don't see an oiler adjustment, so it may have an automatic oiler, which is something if you're doing any extended cutting, you really got to pay attention to the amount of oil that comes out onto your chain, onto your bar. So keep that in mind. Let's take this cover off and have a look under here. So this is your chain cover. This is for your chain adjuster. As you can see, the only thing I don't like about these is it's a plastic cover. And if you do run this saw a lot, this plastic will get hot, and they tend to deform in this area right here where the adjuster is. And once they deform to a certain point, it makes it hard to adjust your chain because this is now deflecting one direction or another, maybe this way. That's not saying that this will do that, but I know from personal experience that if you use a commercial or a residential saw like this for an extended period, that will happen. So you've got to keep that in mind. Of course, your clutch, this is your clutch right here. It looks fairly good. Normal stuff here. This is your oil pilot hole right here where your oil comes out to lubricate your bar and lubricate your chain. It looks very sturdy, magnesium. It does have somewhat of a plastic case around the engine, which I've seen where all of this on some Poulans and even some younger McCulloughs and even Echoes or Husqvarnas, all of this will be plastic. This isn't bad. This is actually a pretty good build. What I will do before I actually use this saw is I'll lubricate this with oil right now, or maybe just some grease, just to ensure that this will move a lot more freely. So let's put this back on. We'll set this over here. Here's your manual. I will go through that shortly. We're going to set this right here. This is your chain. And I'm not sure if this saw comes with a bar and chain standard. I believe it would, but I'm not for sure. Let's look at the chain here. We're getting rained on right now. Your chain looks okay. Looks like it's a 3/8 by 50 gauge. Of course, it's razor sharp. I've got skin like leather, so I don't really have to worry about that so much. Looks like it's a decent chain for what it is. Look at the bar here. Now this is a surprise. This bar is stainless steel. You'll see here, got a nice roller tip on it. But that is very nice. It is a 16-inch bar. Very nice bar. So we'll go ahead, let's put this on. Get an idea of what we're looking at. As you know, sometimes putting a bar and chain on can be a little bit of a pain. But hey hens, I don't know if you hear the chickens in the background, but they're being their normal selves. So let's put this on here. And so what we need to do is you got to line this pin up with these holes on the bar to adjust it. And this is the way I do it typically. Makes it a little bit easier if you just line it up ahead of time. Usually will go right on there. In our toolkit, we've got some safety glasses, carburetor adjusting screw, an assembly T27 it looks like, another carburetor adjusting screw, and then looks like some more bar nuts. Came with 2 bar nuts already. We've got some more, and there's our scrunch. Nice little tool bag. Actually like that. So let's adjust this out. I think we're in there. don't know how y'all do it, but easy, girls. So the way I adjust the chain is this gap right here. I will tension the bar up and I'll hold the tip up and I'll bring this gap to where it is non-existent. And because it's a brand new chain, I will heat cycle the chain just like the engine several times. But as you can see, that gap is going away. So you don't want to get it too tight in the beginning because you'll stretch the chain a lot. And when you overstretch the chain, then you will exceed your adjustment ability on the chain. Okay, so it's pretty close. Let's see here. Yeah, we're gonna have to, let me get it. Okay, so I don't like these things. This is a scrinch. They're great if you're in the woods and you have to have them, but I don't like them. But anyway, I've got a ton of these things, and this is going to go with the other ton. So this is my Stanley screwdriver that I've had for decades, and so it is what I'm going to use here. It lets you get closer to the bar, and I recommend that you get as close as you can anyway. That way you get a full revolution versus only half a revolution. And anyway, you see the difference here. It's a lot quicker. Scrinches, they just make it easy whenever you get the saw, in case you don't have the tool. So that's where we need to be. You know, the gap's filled, and you see right here, it's not super tight, but we don't want it tight, super tight, because we've got to stretch the chain. So let's finish tightening this up. And because it's got 2 screws, I'm going to do about a quarter of a turn on each one. And what's the correct torque? I can't tell you what that is. You don't want to be too tight because you'll stretch the bolts, threads on the bolts. You don't want to be too loose because they'll get loose. So that's as tight as I'm going to get. Let's see where, you know, it doesn't run really free, but it doesn't run super loose or super tight either. So there we go. And so we'll put the cover back on it. Right here. Move this grommet up. There we go. Put some fuel in it. Start procedure for this. I've got it to the on position. That's off. This is on. This is your choke. That's full choke. That's probably half. That's off. We've got full choke. This is the primer purge bulb. I'm going to press this. Alright, 10 times. I think that's where it needs to be. So it's primed, full choke. I'm going to go through the start procedure. So some saws, bigger saws, I'll stand on them like this. Smaller saws, sometimes I'll just hold them between my legs. But we're just going to do this one for right here because that's where we're at. Chain brake is on, so let's see what it takes. All right, so it ticked over. I'm going to turn it to about half choke right there. appears it needs to be idled up because it died pretty quick. So let's just idle it up here. So on this saw, you got your low speed jet here, your high speed jet here, and this screw is your idle screw right above it. And if you look, you can barely see it. It's got a T on it, and that T stands for throttle. Okay, so this is where you would adjust your throttle idle at. This is where you would adjust your low speed jet, which is just when you come onto your trigger throttle here. This is where you adjust your high speed jet when you're at full throttle. It's got two different tools for that. Of course, this short spade blade screwdriver and this specialty driver here that's splined, because the shaft on the, you can't see it, but the shaft in there is splined, so it just lets it lock in really good. Rule of thumb on these is you don't want to go more than 2 turns from full out. So basically, if you turn it all the way in, you don't want to go more than 2, maybe 2.5 turns full out. You also don't want to be more than a half a turn from full in, because then you would be running really lean, which would increase your combustion chamber temperature, and you're likely to burn a hole in the top of the piston, or at least partially seize the piston, which would basically mean the engine is no longer any good. So we'll get to that point when we get there. So let's just bring the idle up just a little bit, and that's about a half a turn. Let's try it again here. So we'll turn it to about half choke. Okay, so I'm going to have to adjust this carburetor. The carb is not too far off, but as you can see, what I was pointing at in the video was that when you adjust the idle on a chainsaw, your idle adjustment should be just when the chain starts to creep like this. You should be lower than that. So if the chainsaw is sitting there running, it shouldn't make the chain go and run on its own just sitting there at idle, because the springs in the clutch are designed to engage at a certain RPM because of centrifugal clutch or centrifugal force. As the clutch spins, the feet will come out and it will grab the actual clutch plate that engages the chain. So if that RPM is too high, the idle RPM is too high, then it will engage the clutch that will cause your chain to move. So we have to adjust that. Stop it right there. You didn't last time.
Maybe.
Alright, so what I'm going to show you right here, we tuned this saw a little bit a little while ago. The carburetor was a little off on that, but they're not always perfect when it comes to that. It doesn't matter the brand you get. So this saw is something that I would use, or Melissa or the young ones would use on smaller trees and branches and things like that, because it's really light and it's very easy to maneuver. It's got a short bar on it, which makes it easier to handle. We're going to use it just to clear some of this debris out so I can cut on this log right here. So I'm going to crank it up. This will be the first cuts that we make with it. It will kind of give you an idea of the chain that comes with it. But again, it's the first cuts we've made. It may need some more adjustment. If it does, then we'll adjust it as we go. But let's get it started. it's not too bad. It's still the carb does need some more adjustment on it. It doesn't run bad. It's a good running little saw. The carb definitely does need some more adjustment on it. A lot of the smaller CC, typically, you know, anything that you use that's basically the size of a weed eater, which is basically what this is, they're generally a lot harder to tune. Not that it's really hard, but it does need some more tuning, and that is something that you're going to do under load a lot of times. So you can rev it all you want when it's not cutting anything but air, and then when you go to cut something, as you can tell, it changes because it puts it on a load. So it definitely needs a little bit more tuning, but overall it runs pretty good. It runs. That's the biggest thing. Out of the box, you can have saws that will run great, or you can have saws that won't run at all. This one does run. Does it run great? Not really, but a lot of that is just because it needs tuning. And most everything you get has to be tuned one way or another. I don't care what brand it is, it's got to be tuned. So this will kind of give you an idea of what to expect whenever you get a NEO-TEC saw shipped to you. It's going to take a little bit of work to tune it. This is exactly what I've had to do to it. What you've seen, that's the only thing that's been done to it. But it will definitely, this particular saw, as you can see, needs some tuning, and that's what I'm going to do with it. We'll do a little bit more cutting with this in a later video, but right now this is what I wanted to do with it, was clear off some of this brush so I can get to cutting with the other saw. And the role that this saw will play is what you just saw here. It will be making general small cuts and clearing brush and debris. You know, even if you cut a larger diameter tree, 8 to 10, even 12 inches, you can do it with this. But a saw that's generally smaller in CCs takes more time and more energy to cut through something that's larger, because it is a small engine machine. And that's what the big engine machines are for. If you go or cutting a 12-inch tree, you could do it with this. It's just going to take more time and more fuel, which will also cause more wear and tear on your chain and on your saw, including your body too, which is the reason why you have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 cc saws. That's why you do that. So we're going to switch over to the 70 cc saw and make some bigger cuts with that, and give you an idea of what you can look forward to with that saw, and you'll see that in another video. Look for more videos with this saw later, and thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks to all of our subscribers that we've had from the beginning. We really appreciate it. We hope this is informative for you. If you've got any tips or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. If you've got something you'd like to see, leave those in the comments below, or you can email us, I believe. We can go from there. If you have any suggestions or anything, just let us know. We appreciate it. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for giving us a thumbs up, and please like and subscribe. And we appreciate it. Thanks. We'll see you again. Okay, we've got the last update on this saw. As you could tell from the video, we did get it to run pretty good, sort of, and it definitely needed some tuning, and that's where we're at right now. I did tune the saw a little bit today, and it runs substantially better. Some saws you'll get, you will have to tune. Some saws you won't have to tune. This particular one I did have to tune, but that's just luck of the draw sometimes. So anyway, I've tuned it earlier today. It's cold right now. I'm going to start it up, then I'm going to make some cuts on the same log, which is probably a little bit bigger than what you would want to use for a 40 cc saw with a 16-inch bar. This saw makes about 2 horsepower, almost that. So we'll see what it'll do, but I believe it runs a lot better, and we'll get it going, and I'll show you from there.